G'day guys, I hope that you're doing well. Now, as you can see, I'm going to be in America for a couple of weeks. I'm helping out and co-hosting the Speak the Truth podcast with Rob Turkle, so I'm in that office now. But I'll still be trying to get these daily updates out. But today will be short because I'm super jet lagged. But let's have a look at the maps and we'll talk about what's new as we have been seeing some movement. Now, we have been seeing advances in Bakhmut. So today is the 21st of March. And if we just scroll back, I think it's been about 4 days. So we'll go back to the 17th. Now in Bakhmut and to the north, we will be seeing some level of Russian advance to the west. And especially now in the south of Bakhmut over the past 72 hours, you'll start seeing this southern front start moving north up into these blocks here. So let's step forward a couple of days as we're stepping up and then to today. So as you can see, this is closing up both on the north and south and pushing east in the north.
Зараз в соціальних мережах відбувається просто якась пандемія непідтвердженої інформації про те, що Бахмут впаде, з'являються якісь відео, де начебто українські військові відступають з міста. Це все елементи російської пропаганди, які, можу сказати, ніхто Бахмут не віддасть. Місто є кому обороняти.
I also found this map of Bakhmut interesting, showing the percentages that the armed forces of Ukraine and Russia control in around Bakhmut. So in Bakhmut, let's have a look at the ISW map. So here we will see that it's painting a very similar picture, although the assessed control is further on the northern side. So let's see where this road splits into two here. That is showing right up into this region here. So it does look slightly different on the map, this arc out to the right, but it's showing very similar all around. Also in the south, we'll go down to Avdiivka, and there hasn't been any major moves, although from a friend of mine who's in the region is telling me that it is getting closer and closer to being isolated and then potentially cut off. So let's step back a couple of days to the 17th. So in the north, we will see Russia make an advance to the east, and over the last couple of days, not much other territorial gain, and we will show that on the Russian map that they have pushed further in on the north, on the southern side of Avdiivka. The big news of the day is that President Xi from China has been holding meetings with President Putin for his 3-day trip in Russia. Now, this comes only days after Putin's arrest warrant from the ICC, although neither China or Russia are members. In fact, neither is the US. Now, Putin has said that the talks are successful and constructive, and Xi has described them as open and friendly. So, what exactly did they talk about? Well, of course, the situation in Ukraine, but also how Russia can potentially feed China's growing energy demands, saying that a new pipeline connecting the two is in the works that in the future could transport 50 billion cubic meters of gas per year. Now, this could work as a replacement for Russia losing deals with the EU. Now, following talks on Tuesday, which they have said that a nuclear war can never be allowed to happen, both Xi and Putin have signed a joint declaration, and the statement said there can be no winners in a nuclear war, and it must never be unleashed. Putin and Xi have also pledged to bolster strategic cooperation in energy and high-tech industries. It's been less than a month since China released its 12-point peace plan for the war in Ukraine, although this peace plan has been heavily criticised for not having really anything about returning Ukraine's territory, especially those pre-2014 territories. And it is said that this plan benefits Russia a lot more. Now, Putin has said that China's proposals for a peace in Ukraine could serve as a basis for political settlement once the West and Kiev are ready for it. Adding, we find that many of the positions in the peace plan put forward by China agree with Russian approaches. We know that China entering this war could be catastrophic on an international scale. China is a major player in international trade and arms, and if we put the equivalent sanctions that we have on Russia onto China, the fallout would be much worse. Now, it is expected that Xi will call President Zelensky later this week. Now, there's been more discussion about tanks again. The original plan was to send Ukraine 31 of America's newer M1A2 Abrams tanks, which it was said that it would take a year or two to build those and then ship them and implement them into Ukraine, being a year or two that Ukraine may not have. But now officials have said the decision was made to send the older M1A1 version, which can be taken from stocks. They also added that the M1A1 also would be easier for Ukrainian forces to learn and use and maintain as they fight. As there's differing information, I can't really get any confirmation. Will these be from US Army stocks, meaning the tanks will have the secret composite armor, or will they be stocks that are headed for potentially export, as the export variants don't have this armor? But either way, it said that it will be several months before these are seen on the battlefield, meaning these tanks will not participate in the upcoming spring offensives. Now, the United Kingdom will also deliver now depleted uranium ammunition along with its Challenger 2 main battle tanks. Now, this was confirmed by UK Minister of State of Defence Annabel Goldie, who said such rounds are highly effective in defeating modern tanks and armoured vehicles. Now, depleted uranium is very effective at punching through armour because it is 70% more dense than lead. From the EU Public Health website, depleted uranium is a dense metal produced by the byproduct of enriched natural uranium for nuclear fuel. It is still radioactive, but at a much lower level than the starting material. It is used in armor-piercing shells and bombs to give more penetrating power. Such munitions were used in both Gulf Wars and in Serbia and Kosovo. Their use has raised concerns about health threats from exposure to the distributed uranium. Many studies have reported a lack of evidence of hazard, but their results remain controversial. According to the US Environmental Protection Agency, depleted uranium can seriously threaten human health if its particles are ingested or inhaled. Now, this has sparked a lot of questions as Ukraine is a world leader in supplying food and farming. Now, Putin has slammed this in saying Moscow would have to respond accordingly. The Guardian has reported Russia's Defense Minister Shoigu said there were now fewer and fewer steps left before a potential nuclear collision between Russia and the West. Moscow also has its own Svanets 2 depleted uranium tank shells in its stockpile. Now, Britain has responded by accusing Russia of deliberately trying to disinform. Depleted uranium has nothing to do with nuclear weapons and capabilities, and said it was a standard component used by militaries, including Russia itself. Russia knows this. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you've had a great day. Look after yourselves, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye.